We just feel like we're entitled to get the best of the best of best, but not pay for it. Yet, when we want to buy a Jaguar, we want to buy a Tesla, we want to buy a Ferrari, we don't go to the Ferrari dealership and say, oh, come on, man, I can get a Kia for 25 grand. What are you charging me $300,000 for? I'll give you 25. Would you ever in your wildest dreams do that?
This is The Fighting Entrepreneur, the podcast dedicated to entrepreneurs looking to change the world. Learn how to start, build, and scale a business in today's highly competitive business environment. Here's your host, The Fighting Entrepreneur, Anik Singal.
What's up, you crazy fighting entrepreneurs? This is Anik Singal, your favorite person in the world, back with yet another episode, and today I'm going to tell you a little story from over the weekend. So obviously, from the time this episode's coming out, it was last weekend. I traveled to Dallas, Texas, and I was at a real estate event, a multifamily investment event, apartment investing by Brad Sumrock. And I had a couple of epiphanies during the event, and it was fun. It was fun. It was exhausting, but it was fun. It was all overall a great experience. And so I wanted to share with you what I saw, what I thought, what I felt, and it all summarizes, kind of like, well, I'll give you the whole experience, and at the end it summarizes down to the topic of the podcast, which is, want the best? Are you willing to pay for it? Before we get started, Lurn.com, Lurn.com. Listen, Lurn is on a massive mission. We are on a movement to put 10 million people inside of our Lurn platform. I want you to be a part of that. Now, are you going to sit by and just watch, or are you going to get involved, get in there, refer your friends, your family, anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur, get them inside that platform? We have some amazing features coming. It's free to join. There's tons of free courses. There's some paid courses as well. We got lots of events going on. Go to LearnCenter.com. And you'll see all the cool events that we have going on at the Lurn Center. You can buy virtual tickets to them as well. We just have so much going on in this community. Get plugged in. Seriously, all right, get plugged in. Lurn.com. We got some major changes coming soon, too. I cannot wait to tell you about them. We are about to. Okay, ready? I'm going to give you a little hint. We're getting close to launching a full-blown business incubator. That's right. That's all I'm going to tell you virtually. You don't have to be here for it. That's all I'm going to say for now. Get plugged in, all right? Now, listen, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment below. Click subscribe. Click the bell icon. Do all you can do to help us get this message out. And, of course, go to iTunes and leave me a great review if you don't mind. Now, let's talk about my weekend. What happened? All right. So, basically, here's the short of it, okay? First of all, I love to learn. Hence the name of the company, Lurn, right? I love learning new things, and it has been too long since I've learned something new. Now, I will say this podcast, Fighting Entrepreneur, has been an amazing vehicle for me to learn something new. Every time I get a guest on, every Wednesday, I learn so much, and so that's been really fun. But it wasn't really scratching the itch, and I started wondering what's going on because, see, I'm learning about a topic that I've been immersed in now for over 15 years. I love entrepreneurship. I love digital marketing. I love every guest. I love everything we learn. But I was like, man, I got to expand my horizons. So I got to go do something different. So one of the topics, one of the things I noticed in my life was, I've been blessed to have made money, a good amount of money. But what am I doing with that money? To date, to be very honest with you, whatever's left after having invested in the whole Lurn empire that we're building here is just sitting around. And I'm not really a big believer of the market. Here's why I'm not a believer of investing in the market. First of all, there's really no tax benefit to it. Second of all, I just don't get it. I don't got enough time to sit around and be informed about the market, which is constantly shifting, to be able to trade effectively. And third, I don't really trust money managers. I don't mean anything against money managers. I have some close friends that are money managers, but I've learned something in life, okay, especially when it comes to money. I don't care who it is. You cannot just give them your money and think that they're going to drive it home for you. You got to keep an eye, and you got to be informed. I always teach this to entrepreneurs. If you want to outsource a particular task, I still think you should know enough about it so that you can oversee what's going on. So for me to oversee market activity, it didn't really tickle my fancy. Now, I am learning a little bit about Forex trading right now. I found that fun. I'm learning a little bit about options trading just because it's fun, but nothing got me as excited than real estate. Why? Tax benefit. That's the number one reason. Now, we're going to be having my tax advisor, Tom Wheelwright, joining us on a couple of episodes coming up in the near future. It's going to be kick butt. Listen, this guy has saved me millions of dollars. I'm learning from him every single week, and so I wanted to bring him to our community. But I'm going to talk about his story in a few minutes anyway, so I'm going to skip that for the moment. So that led me to wanting to learn the world of real estate. So this was like 9-10 months ago that I started reading a book here and there. Nothing too active. Quite honestly, Lurn takes up all my time. All right, I barely sleep as it is. So whatever little time I had, my wife and I, we start to kind of research and study real estate, compare notes, and we went down this journey, which, as it turns out, looks like most successful real estate investors go through. We researched and we found deals that were condos, and then we found out never ever invest in condos for very good reason. And then we started finding townhomes, and we started finding single family homes, and nothing seemed to really still feel like, yeah, that's it, that's the one. Until I started learning, and until I spoke to a few friends very, very high up in the whole wealth management area, and they said, you got to look into multi-family apartment building real estate investment. And I was like, what do you think? I've got millions of dollars lying around to buy apartment buildings? Are you crazy? So as I started to study that more, I called my network and found out, man, was I wrong? Heck, you could start doing this kind of investing with very little money, if any money. So I get really tickled by it. And then I start to study the tax benefits. I get really interested. Then I started to study the cash flow benefits, right? Rather than leaving money in a bank account getting no interest, now I start to see what this money could cash flow, and I get even more interested. So one thing after another, I realized one thing. In my life, anytime I've ever wanted to master a trade, learn something new, I've gone out, found the best person I know or I can find on that topic, and I've gone all in. So I went and researched that, and I found this individual by the name of Brad Sumrock. Now, I don't know all of the different real estate trainers out there. It's just he came up pretty heavily endorsed by people I trust a lot. So he had an event coming up. Now, I'll tell you right off the bat, okay? The ticket price, VIP ticket price to the event was $350 for an entire weekend in Dallas. So what did that tell me right off the bat? Saturday, Sunday event, 2-day event in a convention center with one of the most prominent experts in real estate investing, $350 tickets. It told me I am going to get my butt pitched at the event. I knew it. And I was okay with it. Look, I'm a marketer. I love a good pitch. I love good marketing. And I've always had the belief that if you want to learn something, if you want to do something, you pay for it. Now, a lot of people will say, Anik, that's easy for you to say. You got money now. Guys, even way back, I tell my story. When I first started, my biggest successes were when I found ways to pay for it. Now, in the future, we're going to do a Monday episode where I'm going to teach you some really creative techniques and ways to go raise your first $2,000. I get this way too many times from people who want to be entrepreneurs who'll say, I don't have any money. And then yet they carry around iPhones. They drive, far nicer cars than they need to. So it's a paradigm thing, but still, I'm going to play along. I'm going to give you ideas. And at that point, I'm going to leave it in your hands. How bad do you want it? And usually when people tell me they don't have any money, it's because they just don't want it bad enough. I'm being very honest with you. All right. So the first thing that's so funny, right? We had our own event going on, Lurn Masters. And Lurn Masters is quite the production. And it's led by Jeremy Bellotti, so he does some of the hardest work, thank God, because it's a lot of energy that goes into that event. But, man, amazing things come of it, right? Like lives completely transform. Now, that event was set to end on Friday at 5 p.m. So we booked our flight leaving Friday at like 7:45 or something. So I was essentially going to pack up here and run to the airport. And thank God the flight got delayed by over an hour, because otherwise we would have totally missed it. But so now I've gone through Monday through Friday, this event. Fridays are usually my day, right? So Friday, I have to be on kind of the whole day. And so I'm going to be on the whole day. We're going to end. I'm going to immediately run to the airport. I'm going to get on the flight, fly. We're going to land around 12 o'clock, get to the hotel, check in 1:30, go to sleep. The next day the event starts like 7:30 in the morning. All right, so I'm already exhausted at this point, but whatever. You got to do what you got to do. If you want to master big things, you got to do what you got to do. So the next day in the morning, I get there, I check in around 8:30 or whatever. And within the first hour and a half, I realize something. Okay. I realize, holy crap, I have ADD. I already always knew I have ADD, but I cannot sit in one place. It was the hardest thing. So about an hour and a half in, I'm sitting there and I'm like, Brad, just take my money. Just whatever the hell you get to pitch, pitch it now. I'll buy it. And then go back to my room and sleep or something. And I'm thinking about all my students, and I'm like, man, it's not easy sitting in an event, which really shows why Lurn Masters is so successful and why Jeremy's so brilliant at running it, because he gets people off their seats, he gets people energetic, he gets people moving. So anyways, by the way, of course, I bought the VIP ticket. I wanted front seats. I'm always all in as much as I can. I wanted to be able to network with other VIPs, although, gotta be honest, most of the weekend, too tired. Anyways, that's another story. So Now, my wife and I had a really interesting bet going into the event. She was like, you're going to get harassed. People are going to recognize you. And I thought, no, it's a real estate event. What do I have to do at a real estate event? She goes, you entrepreneurs, you all travel in the same circle. They're going to be there. They're going to recognize you. I was like, nah. We weren't even a minute and a half in, and people started running up asking for pictures and, are you Anik? Or my favorite question was people would come up to me because they don't expect me at that event. And especially I'm not speaking or anything. I'm just I'm just audience. People come up to me and they'd have this face, right? So if you're watching on video, they'd be like, I've seen you somewhere. And I'm like, YouTube? They're like, yeah. I'm like, Facebook? They're like, yeah, you're on ads. I'm like, yeah, that's me. So it was interesting because I'd get up to go to the restroom sometimes. Like people would actually get up and springboard and chase. And like, I don't know what it is with people at events, like chasing me down when I'm going to the bathroom. It's like one of the most awkward moments. But it was awesome. I met people. Now, here's the cool things. And I always tell you, like, a string of amazing things happen if you're open to them. So when I went to check in, the person at the check-in counter, right, just ready to check me in, looks at me and goes, Anik? And I'm like, oh, Lord, what's going to happen? He goes, man, I've been following you for years, this and that. And he's actually staff. Or he's like a volunteer, I guess, with Brad Sumrock's team. So I shook his hand. I'm like, oh, cool. And he goes, it's funny. I was studying your stuff a few years ago, and I was studying this real estate stuff. And I had to like make a choice at one point. I was like, all right, I'm going to do internet stuff, or I'm going to do real estate stuff. And he's like, I just kind of fell in love with the real estate side. So I went that direction. He goes, but it's just such a weird thing to see you here. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I love my internet stuff, but like I want to figure out where to put all that money. And so I'm doing real estate stuff. What was really cool was having this person who has inside access, right? So if and in case Justin's listening, what's up, Justin? Shout out to you. Because I was able to kind of talk to him throughout the rest of the 2 days and get this next level of support, this insider's perspective and view that no one else would have. So that's a big blessing I have, and I'm very thankful for it. And so the event starts, and we went through the event, and about halfway through the first day, I chuckled. I started laughing, and Andrea turns around. She's like, "What's so funny?" And I'm like, "This is a webinar." And she's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "It's totally going to be a pitch," and I knew that coming in. I have no problem with it. Like the guy is teaching something. He's giving value. I paid $350, and like obviously it's real estate training. Like why would he teach me everything he knows for $350? That would be stupid. And then I start to realize just how much in my life I do that sometimes. Need to stop, right? I'm devaluing myself. But I completely understand. But the reason I'm laughing is because how many webinars have I written in my life? I teach copywriting every day of my life. How many webinars have I written? And I'm the guy who created a formula that many people follow for writing webinars. And I'm telling you, it made me laugh because it was just, if I do a webinar in 90 minutes, he was doing a webinar in like 7 hours with breaks and stuff. But it was the same formula. If I do a webinar for 90 minutes where my introduction is 4 to 5 minutes, his was an hour and a half. If I do a webinar where my story is 10 minutes, his was 2 hours, right? And talk about social proof stacking. It was brilliant. I mean, damn good. It was so good that that's probably the biggest reason I wanted to buy at the end of the event. Even though I know what's happening, I'm like, all right, he's bringing people up to talk about their stories because he wants to pitch me. But I'm like, okay, the stage is full of people. You can't make that stuff up. So whatever he's doing has got to be working. I don't care what it costs. I care that it works. Now, one thing I know about myself is I take action. I'm a great student. So I'm like, all right, he's got a system that seems to be obviously working with people that have not been entrepreneurs. I am an entrepreneur, and I know I execute. And I know his system works. So in my head, like, I'm not even listening to what he's talking about. I'm just making these like subconscious level connections. And then I'm just loving every minute of it because I'm watching and I'm like, man, this is a brilliantly put together pitch. Now, of course, the marketer in me was like, come on, just like, I wish I could just like pay half the way through the first day and then like be put in another room where the selling would stop. But that's, by the way, this is not me knocking Brad at all. He ran an amazing event. He gave great value, and he's a masterful marketer. I mean, it was a symphony in production. It was so fun to watch. So, Brad, shout out to you. Seriously. I got ADD, man. I'm just, unique. I wanted to literally give you my credit card and walk away. So that's how good the event was. So anyways, it was a good event, and I had a certain expectation of what he would charge. for his highest level program. And I was right. I had convinced myself before I even got there that I would pay that. And the number ended up coming in at 2x that, right? And I gotta tell you, like, even me in my position where I am and without I teach, I had a moment where I was like, wow. You know, no payment plan, no nothing. And I'm like, I wasn't ready for that, right? And so I was really having fun because I tuned in at this point as a student. I was like, man, this is a great chance to learn what kind of obstacles my students go through when I drop the price so that I can understand how to object or handle the objection. So really, I don't know what the heck I was concerned about. It's not like I didn't have the money. It's not like I didn't believe in the program or that it would work. It's not like I had any trust issues. I just had sticker shock. Like, it was just like, you know, wow, that's a lot of money. That's all it was. So one of the things that I've realized that I don't even do in my presentations is prove to people that's not a lot of money. And I always go under the assumption that people will say, I don't have the money, or they'll say it's not worth it, or they'll have trust issues, or they won't believe that it works. And here I'm realizing, actually, the biggest objection to buying could just be them thinking that's a lot of money. And they have none of the other problems, because that's where I was sitting. And so, anyways, you know, Brad made a really good point on day one and then beat it into people on day two. And I was like, at one point, I actually cheered so loud, I raised my hand. I said, amen, brother, preach it. Like, I felt so connected to this point where he said, no, I will not have lunch with you. No, I will not have coffee with you. No, I will not give you 5 minutes of my time. And no, you may not pick my brain for free. And I was like, oh, yes, I have a whole podcast episode about just that. And he said, you know what? There's a reason I don't do business with my family. He goes, I don't like to do business with family and friends because they don't value my time. They don't put their work in. They don't study the trade. So they feel they can just call me anytime they want, ask me all the petty questions that Google knows, YouTube knows, that my courses know, but they're going to bug me. They're going to ask me simple questions in a contract that none of my students would ever ask because they know the answers. So I don't like to do deals with my friends and family. And I'm like, yes, that's so true. This is why I don't like helping friends and family build businesses, because they just naturally abuse the relationship. And the worst is when you don't give them the time or you say no, they get pissed. They get angry, they take it personally, and then the emotional warfare starts. I've even had some call my mom. No joke. So I just was a side rant because it really led me to understanding one thing, and I'm going to double down on this, and that is, I don't care how good of friends we are. I don't care how much we love one another. Brad said something very simple. I live in a simple transactional environment. If you want something I have, pay me for it. If I want something you have, I will pay you for it. Because one of the things he said is, don't go to the back and say, hey, I'm a web designer. You need a better website. I'll do your website if you can give me your program. And he was like, don't even bother. You will be wasting time. He's like, if I want you to do my website, I will pay you your said quote on it. And I loved that idea. I just loved the thought of him putting that out there. And I just wanted to really echo that to you guys. And so on the first day, I love what he did, by the way. He does a really loosey-goosey pitch at the end of the first day. It's just like he literally goes, I mean, it was like 6:30, and he just kind of drops it and just says, this is what it is. These are my programs. And I know why he does it, because he wants you to go home that evening, and he doesn't want you to have sticker shock the next day. He wants you to have an evening to digest it, talk to your wife or husband, and just kind of like let it ruminate and just get more comfortable with it, which was perfect, right? Because I got to be honest, like, had he dropped it only on day 2, I would have needed that time. Even though, like I said, it's just like, oh, that's a lot. I got to think about it. So even though I didn't like the pitch on day 1, I was like, oh, come on, man, you could do better. Like, I love pitching, right? It's just fun. Then I went home and I went to the hotel. I'm like, actually, that was pretty brilliant. Because I remember telling my wife right when it got done, I'm like, oh, man, I'm disappointed in the pitch. Like, I thought it could have been better. I was looking forward to hearing a good, strong pitch. Then I went back about an hour and a half later. I'm like laying in bed, and I'm like, you know what? I changed my mind. I think that was brilliant. And she's like, why? I was like, because the last hour and a half, you and I have been talking about this thing, selling ourselves into it. But we would have needed this night. So had he pitched tomorrow, we would have not bought. We would have needed the night. The next day, we would have left, gone home, and gotten distracted. Like, this was brilliant. that he let us have this night. Because the next day, he has hook, line, sinker. The next day in the morning, you actually get on buses and go out and see properties. So even if you're like one of those people that's really offended by the price and you're like, dang it, how dare he pitch me? I paid him $300. He should teach me everything for free now. Even if you're going to want to go to the bus tours, right? So you're going to still show up the next day. It's not like you're going to pack your bags and go home. You're going to show up the next day. And in that, he's going to have more time to just reaffirm the price in your mind. And then he pitched again really, really hard. Or not really hard, actually. It was a pretty soft pitch when we came back from the bus tour. So here was how I decided. I remember Tom Wheelwright. Tom Wheelwright was one of the first people that very nonchalantly gave me a price that was just, in my mind, it was like, whoa, buddy. He wanted a lot of money. Tom Wheelwright is one of the best tax attorneys you'll ever find. He only works with 50 clients. I'm blessed to be one of them. As a matter of fact, I feel like any client he works with, we kind of have like a secret handshake. Like Brad was on stage talking about Tom Wheelwright, and I was like, I bet if I went up to Brad and it was like, Tom, I use Tom too. Like we'd have like an instant connection. But anyway, so Tom's going to be on, by the way, on this podcast. He's going to be teaching. He has 2 different episodes. He's going to be teaching a ton of amazing tax strategies. But when I first joined Tom, that was a paradigm shift for me because the amount of money he needed just to start, that does not include him actually doing my taxes. Just the amount he needed to sign up with him was like, whoa, I've never paid someone that kind of money just to sign up with them and get a few calls. And then I got to pay more for the tax planning. But I got to tell you, he's probably saved me $4+ million in taxes. So my question to you is, you want the best, but are you willing to pay for it? How many times in your life do you pay $50 and run around expecting the absolute best from everything? Or you get something for free and you just want it to deliver. This is the thing with beginning and starting a business. I deal with this with newbies all the time. So I have like this mission against the word free that started a few months ago. We just feel like we're entitled to get the best of the best to best, but not pay for it. Yet, when we want to buy a Jaguar, we want to buy a Tesla, we want to buy a Ferrari, we don't go to the Ferrari dealership and say, oh, come on, man, I can get a Kia for 25 grand. What are you charging me $300,000 for? I'll give you 25. Would you ever in your wildest dreams do that? No. You innately understand you got to pay what the quoted price is. And so here, I'm telling you right now, you want to work with the best, you want to learn from the best, and that includes me, by the way. Pay for it, right? And this really makes me think about my master's students. You know, our master's students have paid the most to be a part of this really tight community that's creating millionaires every day. But they've committed not only to themselves, but they've valued me, Lurn, Jeremy, our coaches, our processes. Remember, time has value. It is the most valuable thing. Time is more valuable than a Ferrari. So 2 sides to that. 1, if you are selling time, stop selling it for too cheap. 2, if you are buying time, start appreciating it and start paying. The old adage that I learned once from my mother was, you get what you pay for. It is so damn true. So true. You get what you pay for. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm making a declaration here. Starting soon, like within the next couple of months, we have a few programs I have to finish up. I'm not selling my time anymore for $97, $47. I have way too much experience, way too much knowledge to continue doing that. I'm done with it. Time is the most valuable thing. Your time is the most valuable thing. That's why exactly the next episode you're going to hear on Monday, next week, is going to be titled 4 Reasons You Need to Increase Your Prices. So Brad, I want to give you a shout out, not for having taught me real estate. I want to give you a shout out for having helped me make a realization or have a realization about the value of our time and how we should appropriately charge for it. And those who truly deserve to be in it will find a way to pay it. They'll get awesome results. We'll get awesome results. Everyone will be happy and time will have been valued. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching this on YouTube, come on. What do you think? You agree, disagree? Leave me a comment below. Click subscribe, click the bell icon, click the thumbs up icon. If you're listening on iTunes, thank you very much. Pass this around to your friends, family, and anyone you know who wants to be an entrepreneur. Let's get them all into the Fighting Entrepreneur community, and make sure you leave us a great review on iTunes or any of the other platforms. Go to Anik Podcast, ANIK podcast.com for any of the past episodes. We have tons of them, amazing ones. Also show notes to all of our episodes. And last but not least, as I love to always say, when life pushes you, stand straight, smile, and push it the heck back. See you next Monday with 4 reasons you need to be increasing your prices. See you later.
Thanks for listening to The Fighting Entrepreneur with your host, Anik Singal.